Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Spirit Matters. I am Dayal, along here with Kishore Chandra and Achyuta Gopi, keeping it real and getting ready to dive into spiritual subject matters and how it relates to our daily lives. It's our little check-in, our little morning check-in. We're live in 9 a.m. Eastern time in New York City. And we made a commitment that we've been doing this since the beginning of the year. We're going into our third month and we're just checking in the morning. How are things? Just making sure everyone's still going, still ticking. And I'm glad that that's the case so far. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
She's
Kishore
good.
ate.
Kishore ate? What?
I ate.
Yeah.
Oh, you ate. You've been on a juice cleanse.
I've been on juice cleanse.
And then you had donuts.
No, I had kitchery.
Kitchery donut sounds weird. How is it? Welcome back
It
to the world of solids.
it
Or
felt great. I
kitchery's
mean,
kind of a
kitchery's
solid.
not that solid.
No. Okay. Welcome back.
Actually
Welcome
depends
back.
on where you are.
True.
Some sections of India, it's less solid than others. And then some places, it's like really solid. Like, I'm like, this is just rice. Why you
Mm.
form?
Welcome back, Keisha. We're proud of you. What did you what's your reflection from your time in the world of juice?
Well, it was really hard on day 4, and I did start getting definite cravings for like all the bad things and all the wrong things. But once I like crossed the hump, it was kind of nice. And also, you know what I realized? I really thought about association, because I had to be around people sometimes that were eating, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't see you eat right now. And obviously, I'll be around them when I am eating, like now. But it just really made me think about association, because when you're on a juice cleanse or any type of fast, like you get very sensitive. I get very like sensitive to like energies and people and sounds, and just like being around certain people, I was like, this doesn't feel right. Or like seeing certain people do certain things, or just kind of walking around the city, it really like heightened my senses and made me appreciate. Today when I was cooking, I was really, really trying my best to not be like, yeah, I'm done with the juice cleanse. I'm gonna eat this kitchery afterwards. Woo! I like really tried to be slow and calm and like make the offering and this and etc. And it was really nice actually, because it really helped me, and it continues because I'll do kitchery for a few days only. It really helped me kind of just like, I don't know, kind of just like slow down and calm down a little bit. Like I did the whole Ayurvedic thing where I like sat down and didn't look at any screens and didn't look at my phone and just like smelled the food and like was present, and like I was like, okay, like let's do this. It was very, very nice. It was very good. I recommend it.
Mm. It's the first time I'm speaking to Kishore since day 4. He said we can't be friends anymore till he starts eating.
Day 4 was rough.
I was like, fine. How long did you go total?
I went total 6 days. I went 6 days juice, and now my plan is kitchery until we go to London. So until Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring kitchery on the plane. We'll see if they let me do it.
Yeah. What I'm hearing from you and taking away is that we don't realize how overstimulated we are a lot of the times. And it's not until we take some of that stimulus away that we realize how like we become desensitized. Like when we say I was sensitive, that means normally I'm desensitized, and we're desensitized a lot to the kind of things that are kind of barraging our way. And it's like a lot of times people, whenever they take a break or go on a vacation, they get sick. Some people get
Mm,
sick when they go on a vacation because it's like the first time they're actually allowing their body to stop. And it's like it's the motion that's actually keeping everything together. And it's once you stop like constantly moving, it's when you actually allow your body and mind and physical and subtle body to recognize that like it's overworked.
mm,
And so like, when whether it's in the realm of eating, but also just even in terms of just the constant stimuli that we're getting from so many places, that it's not until we kind of give ourselves a little bit of a break that we are able to um yeah, appreciate. Like it's almost kind of like I need more, I need more, I need more, and actually like I need less in order to actually experience something deeply, you know. And so it's just that one little simple meal of khichdi. Like I was thinking, like, what'd you have with the khichdi? Where's the pakoras? Where's the chutney? Where's the chapatis? Where's, you're just like, it's just khichdi. And I was able to just smell it and appreciate it. No screens. It's kind of like the less we've got going on, the more we can experience it deeply.
Hmm.
That's what I was taking away.
And
Yeah.
Ayurvedically, like that's the whole idea behind the Ekadashis, isn't it? Like, like this is you're supposed to be giving yourself every 2 weeks, ideally. You're supposed to be like being able to reset your body. Like, okay, I gotta like reset and jumpstart. We're supposed to be, like I said, ideally cleansing. And a lot of times that doesn't happen, but that's supposed to be the goal and the whole structure behind Ekadashi, taking all of this out and then focusing and kind of like washing through with spiritual topics. Because not only does it make it easier to integrate spiritual topics, but it actually then works as like that cleansing power. So you have the cleansing of, sure, you can stop putting weird things in, but what happens to the stuff that's already in there? So now we get to
Mm.
flush it all out with all of this spiritual content. So I remember for a while what I would do leading up to Ekadashis is I would do a japa cleanse.
Hmm.
Like I always felt like I was like, everybody's doing all these like juice cleanses and water cleanses and fasts, and I had like family members and friends who every month or so they were like getting WhatsApp groups like, guys, let's go on a water fast. And I was like, I'm gonna japa cleanse and see you guys on the other side. And we'll
Mm.
reconvene and see our realizations.
Mm. What
But
did that
yeah,
look like?
it looked like starting at 16 and then increasing. Like I would do it like 4 days leading up to Ekadashi. So you do 64 on Ekadashi. And so you've got 16, 32, 48, and then 64 on Ekadashi.
Rounds of japa.
Right. And then you gradiate back down, back to
Hmm.
16.
Mm.
So before and after, because also when you come off of a cleanse, you're not supposed to just kind of like drop right back in. You'll shock your body and it'll be way too much. And I kind of feel like that spiritually too. You ever get to a place where you're like hit a good stride spiritually, but then you've got to integrate everything else material. You have to do it slowly. Otherwise, you will culture shock yourself and turn into a fanatic brahmachari overnight, regardless of your gender or bodily position.
You wake up and look into the mirror and it's like, ah, what happened? I became a
Yeah.
fanatic. I'm curious. I
You
like that.
start thinking things like, all the things I used to like, now I spit at the thought.
Nobody talked to me. Um, I have a question for both of you in either context. Kishore, you did a little fast from eating for about a week, and Achuti, you were talking about like also like spiritual cleanses where I'm like adding intensified spiritual practices into my life. And I would just like to touch on or just be curious about because you know there's a lifestyle that goes along with either of those things. So as Kishore is mentioning, it's like, okay, like I can't be around people when they're eating once I hit day 4, you know? And if we're going to also like intensify a spiritual practice for a period of time, it's not just for me, I've noticed and I imagine it's not just an extra few minutes or hour on my calendar. It's there's a life shift that goes around along with that in order to support that practice. When we do meditation, it is is a meditative lifestyle. Otherwise, we won't have the proper motivation to start or to stay with it because our minds are going to be too many other places. Or, if I'm just doing all the normal things while I'm trying to do a juice fast, it's going to just kind of be a lot more difficult. So I'm just curious. I'd like to talk about you guys about when I want to add something to my life in an intentional way. Is it just the decision to add that thing, or what does it look like to arrange my life in such a way that supports the addition of that thing, which is something I think gets missed so often in spiritual life and practice. It's just like, wait, so you're saying that like it's a lifestyle?
Mm,
And so I kind of wanted to hear from you guys about that.
mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a lifestyle. And I think at least one of my reasons for going on the fast was just realizing that I was like losing the reins a little bit on the lifestyle, and therefore like I needed like a shock to my system to get back to it. Because when you think of fasting, you're taking something away with the purpose of putting something there in replacement of it. So it's not like I did a juice fast and was just like you said, Dayal, I wasn't just like going about my day normally as if I normally do, but it made me very present. It made me much more present in my spiritual practices. And that was also one of my intentions. I was like, I'm going to read every single day for 45 minutes in the morning. You know, I'm just going to read. I'm going to not look at my devices and I'm just going to read. And it was super amazing. Like I felt more present eating the khichdi this morning, but also like reading and chanting my
Mm.
japa and all of these things. And it forced me to go to bed really early because if I didn't, then I would get hungry and sad. So I was going.
And somehow that would end at the bottom of a pint of Van Leeuwen's vegan ice cream.
And so I was waking up early in the mornings, and I mean, waking up early in the mornings is super important, I think, especially when you're living in a city like New York, where the modes of nature, like you can feel the energy of New York. If anyone's ever been to New York or just a bigger city in general, it's very fast paced. It's very kind of has this like aggressive, kind of passionate energy to it. And so like, you know, if I'm waking up at 8 a.m. and trying to like chant my japa, my mantras, like in the afternoon, it's a very bad day. It's a very bad day for me. So it's just like just waking up in the morning before everyone else has woken up and having that like, hour or two or whatever to kind of just like be with yourself. It's such a difference. And you know what? It's so interesting because you forget how good it is, actually. It's like when you
Mm.
fall into the rut of like, because the way I see it is like, okay, there's a lifestyle and I'm trying to adopt this lifestyle and I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it, or at least I think I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then something will start to get in the way and it will start to derail my choice. You were talking about choices, Dayal. My choice to adopt this lifestyle. And usually what's getting in the way is like, my lower self, my fear that I can't do it, my anxiety around XYZ, right? My, all these opinions of the external world, oh, this person, that person, and it starts to derail me, or influences, right? If I'm hanging around whatever, right? Or watching all this stuff, right? It'll start to derail me. And you actually start to forget. Like I was a little bit in that place. Like you actually start to forget how good it feels to actually be present in your practices and actually be present, not even in your practice, just like in your life, like eating, you know? This might be a little TMI, but I remember once I was living in the
I love
ashram.
when somebody starts their next part of their conversation with that statement. I'm like, hold on a second. Let me stop checking my messages. Let me tune in. Everybody put, if you're driving, pull over. If you're
I
talking with a
remember
friend, tune in.
I remember when I was living in the ashram, one of the ashramites told me like we were talking about like going to the bathroom. When you're living in the ashram, like you talk about this kind of stuff a lot. And he was like, you don't, he's like, what do you, he was like amazed at the fact that I didn't take my phone with me to the bathroom. And he was like, what do you do in there? I was like, I go to the bathroom. And he was like, you don't take your phone? I was like, no. But since he told, and like for some reason, like that never connected in my brain. I was like, why would I take my phone with me to the bath? Like that makes zero sense. Like my 20 something years of life, I'd never done it to that point. But once he told me that and it like landed in my mind, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then like ever since then, I've been like in the bathroom, just like sending messages, like sending voice notes, like and I'm just like, God, what happened? I
He's like, I
totally
was wasting all that time.
but it's like this idea. I told that story because the idea of presence in everything that you do, like literally, like we're checking out from our body, from like eating, walking, like going to the bathroom, like whatever it might be, it's like these are parts of who we are in a sense, and it's like the more that you desensitize yourself, like you were saying, you were using that word, Doyal, the more used to it you become, and the more you forget what it used to feel like. And that I think is really scary. And that's why I think doing a japa cleanse, a juice cleanse, a khichdi cleanse, a digital detox, like
Mm.
they are useful because they're meant for you to remember, like, oh, this is what it could feel like. This is what it used to feel like. This is what it might feel like if I have a little bit of discipline, and if I take what I've learned and kind of try to continue with it. And you know what? I'll end here because I'm speaking a lot and I want to hear from Achuta, but I think it's also not this idea that like I'm gonna do a juice cleanse or whatever cleanse and all of a sudden I'm cured and I'm just the ultimate spiritual person in the world. No, it's like I do the thing and then I try to adopt some of the experiences that I've learned into my normal life. And then it'll go, life kind of goes up and down. And I might get a little bit better in my spiritual practices. And then some reversal might happen and I might need to do it again. Right. And that's just, it's okay. It's okay to kind of need to have these uh detoxes or even pilgrimage. Like pilgrimage is a great example where it's like we're going to holy places and we're going there to kind of to re-nourish and replenish ourselves so that then we can face the material world. But I want to hear from Chita.
When did you start bringing the phone into the bathroom, Achuta?
Well, I mean, before it was the phone. I mean, the reason you go is because you go to read the Dr. Bronner's soap label. Like what? What have you been doing? You've been wasting so much of your time. I thought, is that not what everybody does?
I don't know if anybody's ever finished the entire label.
It's a really extensive label, and I'm always like, who wrote this,
Dr.
and
Bronner.
what was happening? Because there's a lot of trains of thoughts going on that label.
Sometimes you
There's
read it like,
incomplete.
is this legal? Are they allowed to say this on a...
I know. I'm like, what's happening here? You turning it,
It's like a
you're trying
cult
to like
classic.
follow.
Somehow it made it through mainstream capitalism. It made it through.
It's
Wait, I'm
amazing.
missing out. I have not read the Dr. Bronner's label. I have no idea what you guys are talking
Do you know Dr. Bronner's soap?
I know Dr.
And it's
Bronner's
like
soap.
filled. It's like an encyclopedia of words.
Yeah, but I've never read it.
You've never
Oh my
read it?
gosh.
Oh my God, you got to read it, man. It's
Okay, I
like that
gotta read
guy.
it.
It's wild.
Okay.
It's
He's
wild.
got a whole philosophical like
A whole
situation
new
going on.
order and like the one
Yeah.
supreme and connected and yeah. Pasha wrote psychedelics. Yeah, there's something, but it's like something from a Seinfeld episode. Like it's such good soup. I just do it anyways. It's like it's such good soap.
It's like the height of like commune philosophy all on a soap label.
Yeah, he packed it in there.
I don't know how that's I think that's like mystical. That's a mystical like superpower. But as you were talking about association, I feel like that's true. Yeah, one, I'm so glad that you brought it up because my question always for people when they go on fasts, and it's not really a question, it's usually more of like a challenge. I'm always like, well, what sustainable habits are we also incorporating? Otherwise, whatever fast we've done is going to have a horrible boomerang effect, and then you wind up being more you gain more weight or you're more overladen with all the stuff that so I'm always like what like how do we balance the cleanse and the fast with sustainable habits moving forward that you can then incorporate. So I'm super glad that you said that. Not that I ever thought like just like Keisha's just off willy-nilly having these fasts.
We were judging you. We had some side convos.
But it's definitely also about association. I feel like when you go through fasts and when you go through these cleanses, whether they be spiritual or material, physical, um, I feel like they tend to become such like intimate, personal things that they can be very, very solitary. And it's like, if you have a like an oath for Kartik or something, usually people won't even tell you about it. Everybody's like hoarding their little rut their little promise and keeping it close lest it lose its potency and all of this stuff, it becomes a very, very solitary thing. So one year during Kartik, for the last 5 days, they're like incredibly spiritually charged. I did a little bit of like a mini vrat or promise. I really like the Sanskrit word for though, because promise sounds so small. Like there's so much more in it when gets so I did a vrat with friends for kind of the first time, because usually, like I said, it's very solitary. And we were chanting a lot. We did it. It's like you eat one time a day. It was a Kadashi all 5 days, um, and we increased our japa. And then towards the end of it, we had, I think, two 64 round days that we did with just, and it was like three of us. And surprisingly to me, because I can be extremely solitary, it created a bond that was
Hmm.
over and beyond anything I could have ever imagined. To this day, I'm almost like, I don't care what we disagree on. I don't care what we don't see eye to eye on. It's one of those things that forged a friendship that was based on this foundation of spirituality that was so much stronger than anything in this material world. To the fact that, like I said, to this day, I feel like I'm like, I don't care what we disagree on. I don't care if we don't see eye to eye. I don't care where you are in the world. I'm going to have your back 100%. It's like those are the people where I'm always like, okay, the people that I need to take with me. It's like if I make it back, we're all making it back. But I felt like I wanted to start maybe not being so solitary about it. And I do get it that yeah, there is a danger of it losing its potency. But was that why what was the real reason for me taking on this oath or this practice? And I think it's really interesting that we're having this conversation during Lent, right? Like, got this whole big thing. It's like, what are you giving up for Lent? All this stuff. And if I'm just concerned about what I'm getting, then that's the wrong attitude. And then when we go into the attitude of pleasing the Supreme Person, right? Mangalaya no Hari, all auspicious things, just for the pleasure of Sri Krishna. And when we take on whatever we take on, whether it's a juice cleanse, whatever it is, with the idea of performing whatever austerity it is, just somehow on the off chance that we might please Krishna. And whenever you finish pujari work, what I really love is, and it should actually be after any religious rite, they have prayers for forgiveness.
Hmm.
But in those beautiful mantras of forgiveness, there's like little jewels placed in. Oh my Lord, whatever I've done, knowingly or unknowingly, if it's pleased you, then you take care of the rest. Oh my Lord, somehow I've take the water that I've offered, the food that I've offered, whatever it is that I've offered, or maybe even held back, and accept that as an offering. Like, I'm like, these things are so beautiful. And then when you share them with people in a mindful way, not just like putting my vrat out there, everybody, here's what I'm doing because I'm so awesome. But when we share it with each other in a mindful way and we go through those experiences with each other in mindful ways, I think it creates bonds that they supersede this material existence, and they reinforce my faith that the spiritual world is real. The spiritual relationships are real. The soul is absolutely real, because there's no reason that we should all be connected so deeply, and yet we could go through japa cleanses and whatever austerity together, and that will bond us more than anything else.
Hmm. I'm going over to Chuta's next time there's a juice cleanse. I want to be involved in that. That was super beautiful. I had some thoughts I wanted to share, but I'm going to hold them for tomorrow because it's a slightly different direction, and I want to hold what you just said because I thought it was so beautiful. And what I was taken away, and we'll ask Kimberly in a second to give our takeaways, is just the qualitative difference or aspect of spiritual relationships, and that aren't necessarily, I mean, there's people that, I lived in an ashram for a decade. And especially when I was here in New York, at one point we had like 20, 21 people living in the ashram, and we had people from all over every continent, and every different age groups and generations. And I would often think, like, I don't know how many these people I would normally have been friends with if we were just kind of like, and I think the testament of it is like you look at school, right? You go through school and like who's your best friend? Whoever sits next to you in class, or but then it's like as soon as the next year you're not in class sitting next to each other anymore, and then things shift over time and time moves you away. But I remember thinking that, there's such bonds that develop because it's something beyond just the external. And you go through something together and you make a commitment towards something together and you lift each other up together and you see each other's weaknesses together and you encourage each other. And there's something powerful about that. And it sort of extends beyond the body and even beyond the mind. And so I was just appreciating that quality of spiritual connection and how you mentioned that it gives faith that um that the spiritual atmosphere is real because we can experience it in a relationship with others. And I think in a lot of ways, the ways that we develop faith in a higher power is through the faith that we build with each other, and the experiences that we offer each other through our relationships in this world. And we kind of practice, get a little spiritual pre-K in the material world. And so thank you. And that's sort of why we're here. That's why we're here today. That's why we have a live audience with us on Zoom, tuning in, seeing beautiful faces. That's why we're here. And hopefully you're listening in on the podcast. That's why we just tune in with each other. That's why we're here just kind of speaking and chatting, is to build and forge those commitments and relationships. And so we're really, really glad that all of you are here and tune in each morning. We'd like to take the opportunity, as we do each day, to ask Kimberly to share any takeaways. And also for those who are in the Zoom room, if you want to chat and share any takeaways, and you can feel free to type them in and we'll read them out loud and what people are walking away with so that we can take something with us. We'd love to hear it.
I just got two takeaways today. So asking ourselves what it looks like to arrange our lives to support a certain practice or lifestyle change. And then after that lifestyle change or fast or detox, balancing that out with sustainable habits moving forward.
Sustainable habits. Beautiful. Kishore and Achyuta, let's get a takeaway from you. What are you walking away with, Kishore?
Well, I just love how Kimberly just put it, sustainable habits. It's a really powerful thought, that how can, and it really asks a question, actually. How can I make this habit sustainable? Like, what do I need to do to make this habit sustainable? So I think that is just really amazing. So I'm going to ask that question to myself.
Achyuta, what are you walking away with?
I just kind of, I'm like, thanks for sharing that journey with us, Kishore. Because it's like a big thing, it's like, hey
Yeah.
guys, not eating. But on the flip side, like then everybody's like, but did it work? But did you go through with it? How long was it? And it can be a very, very like internal and intimate thing. It's like these are our spiritual practices, and all of these things, kind of these regimens and these routines of ours, they can be really, really internal. So thank you for sharing that with everybody.
I'm walking away with, and I don't really have I want maybe explore this tomorrow, but just the idea of presence, really, and how the lack of presence that I experience or don't experience on a regular basis because of whether it's my phone or the Dr. Bronner's label in the bathroom, or, needing to watch something while we eat, or checking messages in between or during meetings, or just whatever it is. And this kind of like, this kind of disconnecting from ourselves so frequently. And just the value of presence when we're eating, when we're sleeping, when we're in conversation, and the difference between giving my time and giving my energy. And so just the remembrance and the notion of that is something that I want to take away, the importance of presence, and something on my mind. So I'm glad to bring that up. Richie mentioned establishing our faith and devotion through our spiritual relationship with others. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Richie. And thank you guys all so much. We love you all tremendously. Please check out bhakticenter.org to find out all the other cool things that we've got going on. We're doing a kirtan training in Mexico in just a couple weeks. Chuta Kishore and I are going to India in the fall of this year. We've got some other trainings, yoga teacher training, meditation trainings, all kinds of cool things that you can take online or in person, depending upon where you're at and what's being offered. We love you tremendously. If you ever have any feedback on the show, write to us at info@bhakticenter.org. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We would love to have your support. And we look forward to seeing you and being with you again very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.